Los Angeles, 1970. A private gym in Chinatown, early morning. Clint Eastwood stands barefoot on a worn mat, watching a man half his size move like water turning into lightning. Nobody knows he's here. Nobody will ever talk about it. And what happens in the next 40 minutes will change how Clint Eastwood thinks about power for the rest of his life. Bruce Lee is 29 years old. He's not famous yet, not the way he will be. The Green Hornet ended 3 years ago. Hollywood has rejected him repeatedly. Too short, too Chinese, too intense. But in this gym, in this moment, none of that matters, because Bruce Lee is teaching, and when Bruce Lee teaches, the room holds its breath. Clint is 40 years old. He's just finished 2 Mules for Sister Sarah. The world knows him as Rowdy Yates, as the man with no name. He's 6'4", 190 pounds of coiled economy. He's been in 50 fistfights on camera. He knows how to throw a punch, how to make violence look real. But he doesn't know what he's about to learn. The introduction happened 3 weeks earlier. Steve McQueen, always the connector, always the one who knew everyone. He called Clint late one night. "You need to meet someone. Guy's teaching something different. Not the Hollywood stuff, real stuff." Clint was skeptical. He'd seen martial arts demonstrations. Lots of flash, not much substance. But Steve insisted. "Trust me, this guy's different." So here Clint is, watching Bruce move through forms. Junfan Gung Fu, though it won't be called Jeet Kune Do for another year. The gym is small, maybe 40 by 40 feet. Mirrors on one wall. Heavy bags hanging like executed men. The smell of sweat and liniment. 5 other students are here, stretching, watching Bruce with the reverence monks give to Scripture. Bruce doesn't acknowledge Clint at first, doesn't stop what he's doing. He's flowing through techniques, each movement precise, economical, perfect. No wasted motion, no unnecessary flourish, just pure function. Clint recognizes something in it, the same principle he uses in acting. Less is more. Efficiency. Truth. Finally, Bruce stops. He walks over to Clint, extends his hand. His grip is small but steel. "You're the cowboy." Clint nods. "I'm the cowboy. Steve says you want to learn?" Clint hesitates. "I want to understand." Bruce smiles. Same thing. Understanding is learning. Learning is doing. You ready to do? What Clint doesn't know yet is that Bruce has been watching his films. Bruce respects economy, precision, the way Clint moves on screen with purpose. No wasted energy, no performance for performance's sake. Bruce sees in Clint what most people miss, a man who understands that real power is quiet. They begin. Bruce doesn't start with techniques. He starts with breathing. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Where is it going? Clint closes his eyes. He feels ridiculous. He's a movie star standing in a gym in Chinatown breathing. But he does it anyway because something in Bruce's voice makes him want to listen. "Your breath is scattered," Bruce says. "It's going everywhere. Chest, shoulders, throat. That's fear breathing. Stress breathing. I'm not stressed. Everyone's stressed. You just hide it better than most. But your body knows. Your breath knows." Clint opens his eyes. "How do I fix it?" Bruce places a hand on Clint's abdomen. "Here. Breath starts here. Everything starts here." They spend 20 minutes just breathing. Clint has never done anything like this. On film sets, everything is external. Hit your mark. Say your line. React. But this is internal. This is about feeling something he's spent 40 years ignoring. The tension he carries, the control he maintains, the way he's been performing strength instead of being strong. Bruce watches him, patient, quiet. When Clint's breathing finally settles, when it drops into his center, Bruce nods. "Good. Now you're ready. Ready for what? To understand what you think you know." Clint frowns. He's not used to people challenging him. Not like this. Not with calm certainty. Bruce moves to the heavy bag. "Hit this. Show me how you throw a punch." Clint steps up. He's thrown 10,000 punches on camera. He knows how this works. He sets his feet, rotates his hips, drives through. The bag swings. Solid contact, good technique. Bruce doesn't say anything. He just watches. Again. Clint hits it again. Same result. Again. Clint hits it 5 more times. Each punch is good, solid, effective. The kind of punch that looks great on camera. Finally, Bruce raises a hand. Stop. What did you feel? Clint is breathing harder now. I felt contact, impact. Bruce shakes his head. No. What did you feel before contact? Clint thinks. I felt my body preparing, setting up, chambering the punch. Bruce nods. That's the problem. Your enemy felt it too. Felt what? Felt you preparing, felt the telegraph. By the time your punch arrives, they've already moved. In real combat, preparation is death. You have to be formless. Like water, Bruce demonstrates. He doesn't chamber, doesn't set his feet. He just explodes from wherever he is. The punch appears from nothing. The bag nearly jumps off its chain. Clint blinks. He's never seen power like that generated from apparent stillness. That's impossible. Bruce smiles. Only if you think in straight lines. They work for another hour. Bruce breaks down everything Clint thinks he knows about fighting, about moving, about being present in a body. Every time Clint does something the way he's been taught, Bruce stops him. Why that stance? Why that chamber? Why are you thinking 3 moves ahead instead of being here now? At one point, Clint gets frustrated. I've been in fight scenes for 15 years. I know how this works. Bruce doesn't get defensive. He just says, you know how fighting looks. I'm teaching you how fighting is. There's a difference, and that difference will save your life or it won't. But you can't perform your way out of real danger. The lesson shifts. Bruce wants to show Clint something about economy, about using an opponent's force against them. He asks Clint to grab his wrist. Clint does. Bruce is small. Clint could lift him with one arm. But the moment Clint grips Bruce's wrist, something happens. Bruce moves, not against the grip, but with it. And suddenly, Clint is on the ground, his arm hyperextended, Bruce's knee on his chest. Clint lies there, stunned, not hurt. Bruce controlled it perfectly, but completely dominated. Bruce releases him, offers a hand. Clint takes it, stands. What the hell was that? That was you defeating yourself? I didn't fight you. I let you fight you. Clint understands immediately. It's the same principle he uses in directing. Don't force the scene. Let it unfold. They sit. Bruce offers tea. They drink in silence for a moment. Then Bruce speaks. You know why Steve sent you to me? Clint shakes his head. Because you're about to direct. And directing is combat. Not with weapons, with egos, with studios, with yourself. Steve thinks you need to understand real power before you step behind the camera. Clint considers this. Steve never said that. He doesn't have to. Steve knows you, knows you're going to make films that matter. But to do that, you can't perform power. You have to be power. And being power means understanding that real power is invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It just is. Bruce leans forward. In combat, the deadliest fighter is the one who doesn't look dangerous, the one who seems calm, centered, harmless. Because when they move, there's no warning, no posturing, just action. You understand this already. I've watched you act. You don't perform toughness. You just are. That's why your characters work. But you're still performing, Bruce continues, still showing the audience what you want them to see. As a director, you can't do that. You have to be invisible. You have to create space for truth without imposing your version of it. You have to be water, formless, adapting, serving the story, not your ego. Clint is quiet. He's never thought about directing this way. He's always assumed directing was about control, about vision, about making people do what you need them to do. But Bruce is suggesting something different. That real control is releasing control. That real vision is seeing what's already there instead of forcing what you want to see. Bruce stands, returns to the mat. Let me show you one more thing. He calls over one of his students, a young man named Dan. They face each other. Bruce tells Dan to attack him, full force. Dan hesitates. "Sifu, I don't want to hurt you," Bruce laughs. "You won't, but you have to try. Really try, or this won't work." Dan attacks. He's good, fast. Trained by Bruce, but Bruce doesn't fight him. Bruce becomes space. Every punch Dan throws finds nothing. Every kick meets air. Bruce isn't dodging in the traditional sense. He's simply not where the attack is. He's flowing around it like water around stone. And then, when Dan overextends, Bruce taps him. Just a light touch on the shoulder. Dan freezes. "See," Bruce says to Clint, "he attacked me with everything, and I didn't have to hurt him. Didn't have to prove I was better. I just had to be present. Be aware. Let him defeat himself." That's what you do as a director. You create space. You stay present. You let the actors find the truth. And when they go wrong, you don't force them back. You just tap them. Gentle. Guiding. The session ends. Clint is exhausted, not physically, though his body is worked, but mentally. Everything he thought he knew has been questioned, every assumption challenged, and yet he doesn't feel defensive. He feels opened, like a door he didn't know was closed just swung wide. As Clint is leaving, Bruce stops him. "One more thing. Real power isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. When you direct, you're going to work with people who want to dominate you. Studio heads, producers, actors with egos. They're going to push. They're going to test. And if you push back, you lose. Because then it's just two egos colliding. But if you stay centered, if you stay formless, if you let them push against nothing, they'll defeat themselves. And you'll get your film made, your way, without a fight. That's real power. The power nobody sees until it's already won." Clint nods. He understands. Not completely. Not yet. But enough to know this lesson will matter. They never train together again. Bruce leaves for Hong Kong 6 months later. The big boss, Fist of Fury, Enter the Dragon. He becomes the legend everyone now knows. But he never comes back to America alive. He dies in 1973, 32 years old. The world mourns a martial arts icon. But Clint mourns something else. A teacher, a friend, a man who saw through the cowboy persona to something deeper. When Clint directs Play Misty for Me in 1971, his first film as director, he thinks about Bruce, about being formless, about creating space instead of imposing vision. The film is quiet, controlled, economical. No wasted shots, no unnecessary scenes, just truth unfolding. Critics notice. They say Clint directs the way he acts, calm, precise, invisible. Over the next 50 years, Clint will direct 39 films, and in every one you can see Bruce's influence, not in martial arts, in philosophy, the economy of motion, the refusal to show off, the understanding that real power is quiet, that the best direction is invisible, that water doesn't fight the stone, it goes around, it finds the path, and eventually it shapes everything. In 2004, Clint makes $1 Million Baby, a film about a female boxer, about a fighter who has nothing and wants everything, about a trainer who's lost everything and finds purpose in teaching. The fight scenes are brutal but beautiful, not choreographed like dance, choreographed like chess, economy, precision, every movement serving function. After the film wins the Oscar, a journalist asks Clint where he learned to direct fight scenes with such authenticity. Clint is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "I knew someone once, long time ago. He taught me that fighting isn't about force, it's about awareness, being present, letting the truth emerge instead of forcing it. I've been applying that lesson ever since." The journalist presses. "Who was it?" Clint smiles. "Just someone who understood things most people don't. He's gone now, but his lessons aren't." The journalist writes it down, but doesn't pursue it further. And Clint doesn't elaborate, because some teachings are too valuable to reduce to anecdotes, some connections too meaningful to perform for an audience. In Hollywood, they tell stories about Clint's discipline, about his economy, about the way he shoots fast, doesn't waste time, doesn't do endless takes, about how actors love working with him because he trusts them, creates space for them, doesn't impose, just guides. And everyone wonders where it comes from. This certainty, this centered power. What they don't know is that on a morning in 1970, a man half Clint's size taught him that real strength is invisible, that real power serves rather than dominates, that the deadliest force is the one you don't see coming because it doesn't announce itself. It just is. And when you need it, it's already there, already won. Bruce Lee never became the Hollywood star he deserved to be, not in his lifetime. The industry that rejected him later built monuments to his legend. But Bruce didn't need Hollywood's validation. He knew what he was. He knew what he taught, and he knew that the lessons would outlive the legend, that somewhere someone would take what he gave and build something lasting with it. Clint Eastwood became one of the greatest directors in cinema history. 4 Oscars, 39 films, billions of dollars, countless lives touched. But if you ask him what he's most proud of, he doesn't talk about awards. He talks about economy, about truth, about creating space for stories to breathe, about being water. That morning in Chinatown, Bruce Lee gave Clint Eastwood a gift, not martial arts training, philosophical training, a way of being in the world that serves rather than dominates, that adapts rather than forces, that wins without fighting. And Clint took that gift and spent 50 years honoring it, not by talking about it, by living it. In interviews, people ask Clint about his influences. He mentions John Ford, Sergio Leone, Don Siegel, all the directors who shaped his understanding of cinema. But he rarely mentions Bruce Lee, not because Bruce wasn't important, because what Bruce taught transcends cinema. It's a way of being, and you don't perform a way of being, you just live it. Sometimes late at night, when Clint is editing a film alone in the cutting room, he remembers that gym, the smell of liniment, the worn mat. Bruce moving like water turning into lightning, and he asks himself the question Bruce taught him to ask. Am I serving the story, or am I serving my ego? Am I being formless, or am I forcing form? And every time the answer guides him back to truth, back to economy, back to the invisible power that Bruce Lee embodied, the power that doesn't need to prove itself, the power that simply is. That's the story Hollywood never confirmed, not because it's secret, because it's sacred, because some lessons are too important to reduce to publicity, too meaningful to perform. Bruce Lee and Clint Eastwood, 2 men from different worlds, different disciplines, different generations, but connected by a single morning in 1970 when one taught the other that real power is formless, that real strength is invisible, that the greatest victories are the ones nobody sees because they happened in silence, in awareness, in the space between action and reaction. Bruce Lee died young, but his teaching lives, in every Clint Eastwood film, in every quiet frame, in every moment of economy and truth, in every choice to create space instead of impose vision. That's the legacy, not the legend, the lesson, the understanding that when you become formless, you become everything. When you release control, you gain it. When you stop performing power, you become it. Somewhere in the space between Hollywood myth and private truth, 2 masters met. One taught, one learned, and cinema was never the same, not because of what was shown, because of what was understood. That the greatest art, like the greatest combat, is invisible. It simply is. And that's enough. If this resonated, there are more stories like this. Not loud, not performed. Just true. Quiet truths about people who changed everything by changing nothing, who won by not fighting, who became legends by remaining human. Consider staying. The next story is already waiting.